something's wrong. Something's going on where my ad revenue is not correct and it's not what it should be.
I hope you get PTSD. Base?
If I want to make $2,000 a day, I'll go be a mailman.
I don't have an issue with them, let's just say.
We're talking about the Twitch Adpocalypse.
I actually ended up watching Ludwig's video about it last night. It was really, really good.
But that's the intention, right?
I would call that lying by omission, right?
That's not a real thing.
For them, it's an act of resistance. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
What a liar, dude. What a Weasley little fucking liar.
I personally had no idea that it was that easy to be able to contact like advertiser and do any of these things.
You must admit, everyone must admit, that this has cost Twitch millions of dollars. At the least, most likely, tens of millions of dollars.
The Twitch Adpocalypse. I'm going to need some disclaimers. First, there are no heroes in this story. It involves double standards, radicalization, and fighting dirty. Just because I may agree with some of the people I mention at times does not mean that I am siding with anyone here. I am not responsible for the opinions or actions of anyone discussed in this video. Second, the Adpocalypse is a sprawling mess composed of many characters and subplots consisting of countless streams, videos, articles, and more. I'll do my best to present the full scope of the Twitch Adpocalypse accurately, but there's a lot to sift through and the people involved aren't the most reliable bunch. That plus the geopolitical component only makes things more complicated, and I am no expert on Israel-Palestine. Lastly, there will be times when I talk about, well, the use of fear through violence and other means to get a desired outcome. We'll call this concept T-rism, and the people who do such heinous things, Rizzlers. With that out of the way, let's begin. To put it in a nutshell, the streaming platform Twitch has been facing backlash for inconsistent policy enforcement, particularly in regards to hateful and extremist political content relating to the Israel-Palestine conflict, i.e. anti-Semitism. There was also a ban on Twitch email signups in Israel and Palestine for a year, which Twitch was strangely quiet about. This, among other things, would lead to a campaign to contact advertisers to show them what kind of content their ads were getting played on Twitch. As of now, Twitch has changed their policy around the word Zionist, and it has been confirmed that some major advertisers have pulled out of the platform. That's about as briefly as I can explain the Twitch Adpocalypse. Now that we have a rough idea of what's happening, let's look at the cast of characters. At the center of the controversy, we have Hassan Piker, the biggest political streamer on Twitch and easily the most referenced example of extremist content on the platform. The blatant favoritism he gets from Twitch is a major driving factor here. Another person who initially got a good deal of blame for the Adpocalypse is Asmongold, a streamer who got banned for a month from Twitch for saying hateful things about Muslims. For many, this ban highlighted the hypocrisy of Twitch. They punished Asmongold here, but let Hassan and others off the hook in similar and worse situations, giving steam to the campaign against Twitch. Next, we have Ludwig, who isn't a key player in this, but he's here to offer Hassan some emotional support and some levity to this video. His channel is like if a PR firm turned into a content farm. Then there's Ethan Klein, a huge name on YouTube. He once had a political show with Hassan, but about a year ago, they had a major falling out, which also had to do with Israel-Palestine. Recently, Ethan has been consistently critical of both Hassan and Twitch, bringing more attention to the situation. One of the controversies that Ethan and many others focused on comes from a TwitchCon event featuring Frogan, Denims, and some other very talented streamers. They are orbiters of Hassan, or in other words, internet coattail riders. The political streamer Destiny may not seem to have a direct role in this on the surface, but given his bad blood with Hassan, his regular coverage of the Adpocalypse, and his proximity to others who are directly involved, it would be foolish not to include him. Speaking of which, his podcast co-host, Dan Saltman, has essentially made himself the face and captain of the crusade against Twitch. Some agree with his methods and others think he's going too far. The campaign to contact Twitch's advertisers can be traced back to Dan Saltman, Destiny, and DGG, Destiny's community. And finally, there's the other Dan Clancy, CEO of Twitch and the living embodiment of "How do you do, fellow kids?" He's currently facing pressure from Dan Saltman's campaign to step down as CEO. There will be others who come up, but this is enough to get an idea of the dynamics at play, though Twitch as a platform could be considered an entity as well, one which the public doesn't like too much. One major reason for their rocky reputation is their inconsistent TOS and moderation. This goes back before the recent controversies. About a year ago, Twitch mishandled their policies on nudity, leading the site to be flooded with adult content and leaving many streamers confused about what was and wasn't allowed. The state of hot tub streams has been contentious for a while, and Twitch still doesn't seem seem sure how to approach them. Aside from the policies themselves being inconsistent, Twitch's enforcement of their policies is also inconsistent. For example, Elden Ring streamer Scumnut got banned from Twitch for typing, "I will kick you to death," in a friend's chat right after completing a kick-only run of God of War Ragnarok. Now, Twitch does have a zero-tolerance policy regarding violence and threats, but given the context of the situation, it's obvious that it was a harmless joke. He was banned indefinitely and was only unbanned about a year later because someone brought it up to Twitch staff directly at TwitchCon. That alone is pretty silly, yet it gets worse when we look at Denims by comparison. Denims is apparently the biggest female political streamer on Twitch, and her views can be summarized as Hassan good, Asmongold bad. To avoid complicating things further, I'm not going to get into all of the Stellar Blade drama, but Denims made a joke about putting a bounty on some guy's head over some petty video game politics.
Listen, I'll up the number, okay? 30K to anyone who'll make this dipshit disappear and make Eve's breasts bigger. Okay, you have to do both.
She did not get banned for any amount of time for this. Considering Twitch's zero-tolerance policy with threats and how they handled Scumnut's ban, this looks like a pretty bad double standard, especially considering the virality of the Denims clip. People were talking about it a lot, and Twitch never seemed to realize or care. Later, she would get banned for a month, but for something else, the TwitchCon incident, which we'll talk about later. A recent and explosive display of Twitch's double standards was between Hassan Piker and Asmongold. Let's start by looking at what got Asmongold banned.
If you want to consider a genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people, they have genocide built into Sharia law right now. So no, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people. It's not even a question. It's crazy that people don't see it that way. These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways.
Understandably, Asmongold was banned from Twitch for a month for what he said. Given Twitch's guidelines, I'd say that was the kind of enforcement I would expect. Some of the public didn't really care about what he said, some thought his rhetoric was violent, hypocritical, and dehumanizing, but no one was shocked that Twitch took action. If it was a reasonable ban that didn't really surprise anyone, why did it cause such a ruckus? Because to many people's surprise, Hassan hasn't been banned for the many things he's said about Israel-Palestine.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much.
Hezbollah is a paramilitary organization that is also a part of the Lebanese parliament.
Do we like them or no?
I think as a resistance group, they're pretty successful against Israel. They are a terrorist organization. Like, they're designated. They are designated by the American state as a terrorist organization.
I do not like them then.
Well, I don't have an issue with them, let's just say.
What do the Jews want? They want security and money. Throughout history, the Jews have been Allah's most cowardly and avaricious creatures. If you look all over the world, you will find no one more miserly and greedily than they are.
I don't have an issue with them.
This is like a hostile... They're streaming this?
Yeah. Yeah. They're flexing. They take it over. They take it over. And they tell the people in the ship, usually like mostly Filipino people, Filipino crews. Oh. And they're like, all right, well, we got no problems with you, but you're coming with us. We're taking over the ship. So they did that.
And these people are still held hostage to this day.
Some recent standout moments include Hassan interviewing a Houthi pirate with zero criticism, only praise.
Is it Lofi?
Yeah, he said he's been watching it since he was a kid.
No way!
Yeah.
That's sick. Yes. That's fire. That's so fire. Oh my God. We think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
And playing Rizzler propaganda when he had a fellow streamer over, leaving to go to the bathroom while it played.
These were the people that the Saudis were killing, by the way, just so you know. These fucking musically gifted individuals.
Yeah. I'm so confused. What is this? Did he leave me alone in a room with like a propaganda video playing? I know they're singing, but I'm seeing just guns and shit. This isn't a music video, Hassan.
No, it is. They do musicals about like their fucking like their actions all the time.
Here they are holding up the signs, as I pointed out. It says death to Israel, curse upon the Jews, death to America, right there on display.
These clips with NMP Lol, the black guy, are captivating in kind of a haunting way. It's like watching amidst culture shock in real time. I mean, exposing people to T-rism and making it look fashionable is kind of what Hassan's content is all about. Twitch didn't take any action against Hassan for these clips or most of the other things he's done and said that breaks TOS. There's also the matter of Hassan and his chat using the word Zionist as a dog whistle against Jewish people. We'll get into that more later, but the way Hassan's chat was talking about Zionists was about as bad as it gets. This was one of the things leading to the TOS change at Twitch regarding the word Zionist, which was criticized by many as being ineffective or too little too late. When Asmongold got banned, people started to look at Hassan and how Twitch treats him differently than Asmongold. When Asmongold gets in hot water, they ban him for a month to protect their image. When Hassan gets in hot water, they change the site's TOS to protect their image. The spotlight was on Twitch, and they weren't looking good. On October 16th, the same day Asmongold got banned from Twitch, Ethan Klein would do a live show on Hassan, Twitch, and anti-Semitism. Their history goes back a bit further though. They once hosted a live political talk show together called Leftovers. It started in September of 2021 with Ethan and Hassan having similar progressive perspectives, doing segments on typical targets for the left, like Steven Crowder and Jordan Peterson. With their popularity before Leftovers, their similar political takes and general chemistry, the show went over well with both of their audiences. About 2 years after they started the show, their disagreements about Israel-Palestine would sour their relationship, leading to the show's end. Since then, both Ethan and Hassan have been regularly critical of each other, with things heating up more in the last few months.
He was hyping up Hezbollah. And granted, when I texted him that, I said, you don't have to respond to me. I totally understand because it's unsolicited, criticism. I get it. But I was kind of hoping to open the door to a more personal conversation. He did not reply, which I took as basically just like we're on the opposite sides of this issue and talking isn't going to really help, which I get. And I agree. That's probably where we're at, unfortunately.
This was from one of his streams mostly covering Hassan and Twitch. In the last month or so, Ethan has uploaded 6 videos to his second channel about Twitch's anti-Semitism problem, maybe more by the time this video goes up. In his first video, he brings up a now infamous event from TwitchCon, the Arab tier list incident. Several people from Hassan's orbit, the ones I recognize being Frogan and Denims, were on stage at TwitchCon, an official Twitch event, Denims being the one who joked about putting a price on Asmongold's head. They decided that it'd be fun to do a tier list in front of a live audience. While it's not a bad idea on paper, their execution was a little, well, it wasn't good.
It's the perfect transition to our first person, Hassan.
Yeah, I think he'd be on Arab coded.
I mean, I would put him in Arab, to be honest.
I would put him also in Arab.
Which is great. That's the good one. That's the one you want.
The next person is one of my favorite people, Ethan Klein.
I told you guys to clap.
This is a good reaction.
That was a good one.
That's Jewish.
Dude, where's the? You guys are missing a category for Zionist. That was a joke. That was just a joke in my.
Denims.
We're very proud of you, Denims, for bringing anti-Semitism right on stage, and you guys are killing it.
And not long before this, Frogan had another incident where she hoped that US soldiers would get PTSD and doubled down on that take.
Any other motherfucker, you're joining them, you're like, oh my god, I want my fucking Camaro, no student loans, fuck you. I hope you get PTSD. And I hope you get no health insurance when you get back into America. And they posted it in my head. I'm like, based? Based? Like, am I supposed to be like, I'm not walking back on it. I still fucking agree with it. Based?
If you want to seem progressive and empathetic, making a racial tier list and wishing PTSD on people might not be the right play. This might be the most damning example of Twitch's culture and bias. With Hassan's stream, people might see Twitch as being a bit more removed, even though they love the guy. But an official live event hosted by Twitch, it makes it look like they're intentionally trying to promote extremism. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but this is about as bad of a look you could possibly have as a social media platform aiming to have a clean reputation. Ethan also pointed out some of the nonsense coming from Hassan in these uploads.
Bro, I can't believe this man went from dunking on Steven Crowder to saying Steven Crowder ass shit. He's anti-American, radical anti-American. Not only that, but I do get fucking yelled at all the time. Who do you want? Like some fucking weirdo Nazi? Like who?
Once again, implying that I want Nazis on the platform. Literally all I said is that there's no dissenting voices on Twitch, and he's building a fantasy world in which I'm a right-wing shithead that wants Nazis on the platform to criticize him.
Trying to imply that Ethan Klein is advocating for more far-right anti-Semitic voices or is turning into Steven Crowder is manipulative. Ethan makes some other good points against Hassan in these videos, but they don't really tell us anything new and they don't change the dynamics of the Adpocalypse. This video isn't just about understanding the grievances against Hassan, and there's plenty of content that focuses solely on that, some of which I've made. We've already established that he's a manipulative extremist who gets favorable treatment from Twitch, and that's one of the main reasons why people would want to contact their advertisers. Let's focus on something else for a moment. What the current social media landscape encourages. This is a short tale of 3 liars. When Twitch streamers were first facing the news of the Adpocalypse, tensions were high. Of course they would be. A streamer who I haven't heard of outside of this clip, Lacey, was clipped freaking out about his revenue.
I'm seeing all these streamers, clips of them talking about their ad revenue and how they're not getting paid from ad revenue here and there. So I go and check my ad revenue. Yeah, I'm not getting ad revenue. I'm not getting the correct ad revenue. The issue with this is I don't even have tags in my name. I don't talk about politics. I don't do anything. And my ad revenue went from $10,000 plus at some points per day to now like $2,000 a day. From someone who was making upwards of 5 figures a day, now only making $2,000 a day off ad revenue, something's wrong. Something's going on where my ad revenue is not correct and it's not what it should be. If I want to make $2,000 a day, I'll go be a fucking mailman, okay? So Twitch, if you don't fix my ad revenue and put it back to normal, I'm not gonna be streaming on the platform. I don't care. I don't do this for fun. I don't do this. This is my job. I do this to make a living. So if my ad revenue does not go back up to what it needs to be, I will not be streaming anymore. Simple as that.
That is one of the most hateable clips I've ever seen. Is it even possible for someone to be this airheaded? Well, probably, but this was just for show.
Simple as that. $10 out of 10 bait that's gonna hit on Twitter. Chat, how many hate comments is that gonna get on a Scuba Ryan Twitter reply? How many hate replies is that one gonna get?
It was rage bait, that makes sense. I don't find the guy any more likable after knowing that, but okay, he was trolling for engagement. Then there's Miskiff's response to the Adpocalypse.
I personally just wish politics were permanently banned off Twitch. I really do. I think a lot of stress and a lot of problems will be gone if they're just like, hey, you want to be political? Get off the website. You want to be a political boy? Go to Twitter. Don't do it here anymore. I swear. I think all political streamers should be banned. If you're really political, then get off. Because if we can't handle it with the ad, if it's going to affect ad revenue for everybody, it's going to ruin the website, you might as well do it anyway. You have to. Hassan gets banned. If it affects every content creator losing ad revenue, which also might affect the entirety of Twitch, Hassan should get banned. Absolutely.
Huh. Kicking all political streamers off of Twitch is a drastic measure, but given the circumstances, it makes sense that Miskiff sees things this way. After all, the concern from advertisers has to do specifically with unchecked political content, not the typical slop that Miskiff and others put out. So surely this one isn't bait.
It is so easy to farm. My God. It's so easy. I said one thing. Miss all the opportunity to chime in and farm easy front page.
3K and 7K subs.
Oh, that's so funny they do.
Grow together.
Okay. I mean, Miskiff's rant seemed pretty sincere, but him dismissing it as bait seems believable too. I don't know. I guess if Lacey was willing to bait engagement from the Adpocalypse, I shouldn't be too surprised that Miskiff would do the same. But in the Destiny subreddit, a chat log of Miskiff was posted, implying that he got backlash from Hassan's community or maybe even got messaged by Hassan himself about what he said in that clip. It's possible that Miskiff was lying in the second clip about baiting in the first clip due to pressure from Hassan or his community. Last up, we have a clip of the streamer Tectone interviewing Dan Saltman, the face of the Crusade against Twitch.
I think it's ridiculous the amount of people, because I was doing a little bit of trolling on the internet. I went a little bit pro MAGA for fun on like hardcore pro MAGA on Twitter for fun, because I like doing a little bit of trolling. And the amount of people who message me saying we can, the amount of people who say we can no longer communicate because you voted for Trump, it's just a fucking joke.
I do agree that cutting people out of your life because of who they voted for only increases division. That's not why I'm playing this clip though. It's because he said he trolls people on Twitter about his political beliefs, then his friend put up those air quotes. He's trying to use trolling as a defense, but his friend in the background casts some doubt. So is he trolling or lying about trolling? This is what the current social media environment encourages. These streamers are incentivized to lie in numerous ways, more so than in just about any other industry. First, lying helps them protect the reputations of themselves and their friends. This Hollywood-style nepotism is natural to just about any portion of the entertainment industry. Second, baiting people into engaging with bullshit is profitable. This is more of a new thing, at least the way in which it's happening. Third, if they bait or lie about baiting people enough, they develop plausible deniability, so they can avoid accountability when they say something like, Hassan should get banned. Even when these streamers are facing an adpocalypse, they can't help but make a mockery out of themselves. That's one of the many reasons why covering this topic is tricky. With that out of the way, let's take a look at Ludwig's coverage of the adpocalypse. Mogul Mail, one of Ludwig's YouTube channels, often covers drama and streaming-related news. He hasn't been uploading there as much and has said that he wants to take a step away from covering drama, which led to him losing some subscribers. In his video on the adpocalypse, he addresses that.
That's right, another Mogul Mail. I'm going back to back, and I gotta say, guys, what the heck? I looked at my analytics on this channel after taking a 10-week hiatus, and thousands of you guys unsubscribed. Okay, joke's over. We can resubscribe now. I might take a little bit longer in between videos, but when I really want to talk about something, I'm going to make a damn video. Like today, where we're talking about the Twitch adpocalypse. Why? Because I was talking to my friend Shake about it last night, and I wanted to look up a video to learn more about it, and there was none. So I decided, okay, I will make one. And today, I should preface, we are going to basically be talking about 3 points around the Twitch adpocalypse.
Making a video intending to explain the adpocalypse in one night is hasty to say the least. This video is coming out months after the Twitch adpocalypse started, and it's still premature. Ludwig's goal isn't to cover the adpocalypse accurately, it's to pour some oil on troubled waters by downplaying and overlooking the things that make Twitch and Hassan look worse. That clip I played of Mizkif talking about how political streamers should be banned was originally in Ludwig's video, but he edited that part out, likely on Hassan's orders.
All right, let's watch that. He says started it. Mizkif is blaming Hassan, saying that everyone who does politics should be outright banned. Hassan is blaming Asmongold for the adpocalypse for teaming up with people who he says, and Asmon is
and blaming me. I want to say you're welcome.
Taking blame himself. And probably talking about DEI again for the 100th time, if I had to guess.
The way he presents things here makes it obvious he's trying to throw Asmongold under the bus to make Hassan look better by comparison. Far too much time in his video is spent explaining things like how advertisements work and how streamers get paid. What's most noteworthy is what he didn't say. Hassan's name is mentioned only once in passing, and Ethan Klein isn't mentioned at all. Any controversy that contributed to the adpocalypse was glossed over as quickly as possible.
All right. Oh, you ban Asmon. Well, what about when Frogan said this, crazy thing about U.S. soldiers? All right, and Twitch got basically controversy after controversy after controversy. All right, and
if Ludwig isn't willing to show these clips, then how can the audience be expected to understand why these moments might make advertisers want to leave Twitch? They can't, and the comments on that video roasted him over how much he didn't talk about the adpocalypse in a video on the adpocalypse. This goes beyond mere ignorance. This is PR. This is circling wagons. So far, we've taken a look at everything happening around the campaign against Twitch and some of the people involved. Hassan avoids punishment for his extreme rhetoric on Twitch through what can only be explained as favoritism. Many streamers on Twitch, namely the Poggers community, naturally cover for each other. Twitch has a history of inconsistent policy enforcement. And while I only mentioned this at the start, Twitch disabled email signups in Israel and Palestine following the attacks from a little over a year ago. They only recently addressed that. With all of this in mind, it makes sense that there would be public outcry. That's one side of this story. Asmongold apologized for the things he said, cleaned his room for the first time in years, and came back to streaming. He reacted to the fake ragebait clip from Lacey as if it was real, took more credit for the adpocalypse than he can account for, and planned on doing a stream with the person who can take the lion's share of the credit, Dan Saltman. Unfortunately for them, Dan was banned from Twitch before they did an interview, and according to the rules on Twitch, if you platform someone who is banned, you are also subject to being banned. Dan was banned for unspecified extreme harassment, which brings us to the other side of things. No bad tactics, only bad targets. It's a phrase often associated with cancel culture and over-the-line political tactics. It's another way of saying the ends justify the means, or to be more straightforward, anything goes. This was a comment left by Dan Saltman on a thread which had to do with the deplatforming campaign that he was leading. He co-hosts the Anything Else podcast with Destiny and has a history with media startups. This isn't the only time that Dan puts his anything goes mentality on display.
So I have a list of all the employees in trust and safety. Sometimes there are people and you can't get to them. You can't fucking get to these people, no matter what. No matter what level of insane targeting you do to them. No matter how autistic you are with the websites that you set up and everything else, they just don't care. Then you have to start going to the people that they care about. And then they start caring. Yeah, that's it. Just a shit stirrer and a fucking old retired fuck that apparently can do whatever he wants to Hassan, and they really can't do anything in return because, well, I don't really give a shit. I'm retarded and I know it. So I think to a certain extent, doing stuff like, for instance, I know you guys probably had a huge, let me give you 2 examples of stuff I think that you guys both are completely against. Hassan Piker had sex with a prostitute at a brothel that was later raided for suspicion of human trafficking in a scheme that was called brutal and oppressing. How do you feel about that as a statement to say?
I think you'd be a little dishonest if you didn't give a lot more context.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it true?
Everything I just said is true.
But if you said just what you said there,
yeah,
what would people come away thinking about Hassan?
Yeah, they would come away thinking that this guy fucked, possibly not so good of a thing. Yeah, absolutely. But that's the intention, right?
I would call that lying by omission, right?
That's not a real thing.
What, lying by omission?
Yeah, it's like not a real thing when it comes to like actual culture and optics and getting things done. Fucking little weasel rat. I mean, it's okay because I'm doing the same thing. See, this is what you guys don't get. This is what you don't get. You don't play the game. You don't play it strong enough. You're over here like, Dan, do not bring up that he went to a brothel. Yes, it was raided, but in the end, they didn't find enough crimes to shut them down. He has no issues clip chipping me. Okay? He's fine doing it. Why the fuck would I not do it in return?
The tactics go beyond just taking people out of context, though. The most extreme example, in my opinion, being implicitly threatening someone's family, which he admits to.
You are downloading family photos. You are saying you were willing to.
You're making that try to sound a little bit worse. I downloaded his Facebook.
No, you specified. We can play the clip again. We can do another clip
because
thing.
you're trying to make it sound worse. I understand what you're trying to do.
I just said it to Kate.
Again, this is optics maxing. Again, for your side.
It sounds like the clip is you trying to express the fact that you have literally everything on this guy, and then highlighting it by also saying that it includes even things of his kids and stuff because of the Joker pill. That sounds about right.
Sure, right. Yeah, it's threatening to have someone fucking look into you. No shit. You don't want someone looking into.
You understand why people would be protective of their children?
I wish they did play the clip here, but we have Dan confirming that's what he said and did. And then he confirms that the motivation for specifying that he has photos of this Twitch staffer's family is to be threatening. Simultaneously, he denies his anything goes approach.
Downloading all of their photos, including those of their kids.
Being more accurate, yeah, sure.
And that
downloading
you're against them. Yep. And that anything you do is justified.
I didn't say that either.
You said, I believe you did say that, Jay.
I'm not going to have this argument with you.
I believe the weapons of the enemy
not true.
Feel good in your hand.
I feel like I'm going to need
what you said.
Some moderation here. How much more scared are you if I say that I've just downloaded everything you've posted on Twitter? You're probably not very scared right now if I say that. What about I say I downloaded everything on Twitter and it includes all the photos of your cats in your house?
Well, yeah, but what is the implication that makes the other one scary?
It's letting you know additional context of what is in that data.
Yeah, well, it's to get them to ask the question, oh God, what would they do with this?
Yes, correct.
The reason why it becomes scarier is because it sounds like an implicit threat, right?
No, I understand. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The comment, "There are no bad tactics, only bad targets" from Dan was left on a thread in Destiny's subreddit. This thread was one of the initial rally points of the campaign against Hassan and Twitch. I think it is morally okay to target Hassan's sponsors and advertisers on Twitch. It has a list of advertisers to contact and some clips to send them. Dan, also a moderator of Destiny's subreddit, posted more clear instructions and stickied his comment. He would also tell people to contact advertisers on his Twitter, his podcast with Destiny, his YouTube channel, Kick, and his now deleted Twitch account. Dan is not shy about the role he plays in this situation, and the campaign to cancel Hassan goes beyond contacting Twitch's advertisers. Any organizations or news outlets that consider platforming Hassan are fair game for Destiny's community.
Here's some emails, an example template. It's preferred if you deviate from it as much as possible. Subject, urgent concern regarding upcoming appearance with Hassan Piker, and then a whole bunch of emails. Dear CNN, I'm writing to bring an urgent concern to your attention regarding an upcoming appearance scheduled with Hassan Piker. It has come to my attention that Hassan Piker is known for promoting anti-Semitic views and expressing support for terrorism-related activities.
Oh, Diddy G Brigades turns into the same shit show. Just a Hasanabi snark page, Lumeo. I think you should make other accounts and just brigade the fuck out of like all of this shit and harass these people. Like, if he's just gonna accuse us of doing every single thing that he literally does on his community, like you can literally watch Hassan AstroTurf, LSF, and YouTube comment sections in real time live. Like he does it on his stream. So if you think so, then yeah, do it. Make other accounts. Make sure you have a VPN. I need a VPN sponsor. Yeah, and do it and harass them or abuse them or whatever. I guess if that's what you want to do, stand back and stand by.
I agree that what's happening at Twitch is bad. Bad to the point where advertisers probably should be concerned. Bad to the point where it makes sense that people would want to contact advertisers. Although that doesn't mean I'm hopping on the salt train. As Dan himself admits, this is a level of action that warrants skepticism.
Dude, I feel like a conspiracy theorist. I really do. Your skepticality is warranted because it seems fucking insane.
So I will be skeptical. The main demand from Dan is for Dan Clancy to step down as CEO of Twitch due to his anti-Semitism and mismanaging of the platform.
Dan Clancy, step the fuck down, you piece of anti-Semitic shit.
One of Dan's more general claims is that Twitch is being ideologically controlled by the far left, and I agree. That's probably why people like Hassan and Frogan have gotten away with saying the things they've said for so long. Let's take a look at Dan's stronger arguments, then move on to the weaker ones. First, that Twitch put a ban on signups in both Israel and Palestine.
The first thing to know is that on October 13th of 2023, on the day of the global day of jihad, Twitch put into place a ban. They said that this ban was specifically for the regions of Israel and Palestine, and it was only going to be for email signups.
This took place shortly after the attacks in late 2023. Twitch was quiet about this for around a year or so, and they eventually tried to chalk it up to ignorance and oversight. A temporary decision after the attacks that was mistakenly never reversed. In that tweet where they finally addressed things, they say mobile signups were allowed, even though there's evidence to suggest otherwise. Whether this comes down to incompetence or something more deliberate, people were in the right to call this out. Twitch should have known about the ban because people were trying to contact them through support and other means.
Why is it that when these Israeli users put in tickets saying, hey, I can't create an account, what's going on? Do you know what they responded with? They responded with, sorry, you're not eligible at this time. They didn't say, hey, oh, by the way, you just have to use your phone, which isn't going to work anyways. They told you, sorry, you're not eligible. Why was the error message cryptic in the first place? Why not say, hey, sorry, we've currently banned people from your region?
Support should have been more clear about what was happening to signups in Israel, and these support tickets should have been raised further in the company, assuming they weren't. Then Dan has sort of an extension to his first point, that because Palestine lacks the infrastructure that Israel has, a regional ban on both Israel and Palestine is effectively just a ban on Israel, meaning that Twitch is targeting them specifically and intentionally.
People in the West Bank and Gaza have had their shit omega fucked up by Israel, bombed to hell. So I'm not so sure how much infrastructure is there for anything. And secondly, the infrastructure that they do have is not even inside of Palestine. It is provided by Lebanon, it is provided by Egypt, it is provided by Jordan. So it's not even going to be IPs that are in that space, it's going to be IPs outside of that space. So people in Palestine were not affected. It was only people, as far as I can tell, inside of Israel that would have been affected.
Sure, I get it. If Palestine doesn't have their own internet, then Twitch isn't technically preventing them from making accounts. But as someone who doesn't really know much or care much about the Israel-Palestine conflict, when I hear Dan present things like this, it's like, okay, so Israel is the only one being affected by the regional ban because they blew away Palestine's infrastructure? Am I supposed to be upset at Twitch for that? Come on! He makes a similar argument by asking why only Israel was banned, why not Russia and Ukraine, and so on.
The other question here is, why the only Israel? Yemen is in constant war. Iran, Iraq, Sudan, Rwanda, Congo. I mean, this has never been put in place anywhere else. Myanmar, they just had a coup. Like, I don't understand.
For me, this falls flat. In terms of high tensions and division, let's not pretend like Israel-Palestine is just another military conflict. It is uniquely heated, contentious, and controversial. It wouldn't surprise me if media companies are a bit more jumpy around that particular conflict. Next, Dan points out that Twitch outsources their support to Egypt, a country that apparently is widely anti-Semitic.
Twitch outsourced some of their support so that when you go and you click report on a VOD because you've seen something that you don't like, or you're clicking report on a chat message because someone's called you a Zionist loser or whatever it is, right? And you click report on it. Do you know where that's going now? That goes to Egypt, which doesn't make sense. Egypt, according to a Pew research poll, which had an opinion of Jews, Egypt had a 95% unfavorable view of Jews. I don't know why you would outsource something like this specifically to Egypt when you could have done it to like where all the normal American companies outsource stuff for cheap labor, the Philippines or Malaysia or India.
I'm not going to deny that it sounds bad, but the implication here is that Twitch specifically sought out Egypt to run their support because they hate Jewish people, which is absurd. He also brings up the unbanning of Sneeko as well as Fresh and Fit, and Dan wasn't the only one to make this argument.
Unbanning some of the most prolific anti-Semitic people in the world that exists in American language.
They've unbanned Sneeko.
Down with the Yahud! Down with the Yahud!
And they've just unbanned Fresh and Fit this week. These are two of the most prolific Jew-hating creators on the entire internet.
Once again, yes, it looks bad for Twitch, to the point where I can't really blame people for jumping to the conclusion that this stems from anti-Semitism, but this opposes the far-left culture narrative that Dan is pushing, which I think is the much more reasonable argument to make. The people on the left who support Palestine didn't randomly wake up one day and decide to ally with the people they've been calling fascists for the past several years. Alright, then why would Twitch decide to unban Sneeko and Fresh and Fit, of all people? I don't know, if I had to guess, probably inconsistency and incompetence. As far as I can tell, Sneeko was rebanned immediately, and Fresh and Fit lasted less than a week. It would be wild to me if Twitch was genuinely trying to mend fences with these streamers, but hey, who knows? Twitch isn't known for making the brightest decisions. And now the Zionism argument.
But these people are so insane that just because I am a Jew, I'm a Zionist, okay? And keep in mind that 90% of the Jews in the world are Zionist, because the very simple definition of Zionism that all of these guys love to act like isn't the case is that Jews born in Israel should be able to stay and keep living there.
Willie Mac Show also makes a very similar argument in a video of his on Hassan.
I want to take a moment and talk about the word Zionist. All it means is someone who thinks Israel has the right to exist, which is 90% of Jewish people.
The concepts of defense and self-preservation can be interpreted in a variety of ways. It's more complex than Willie Mac and Dan are making it out to be. You could say that Zionism is simply Israel's right to protect itself. You could also say that Zionism is an attempt to maintain the purity of Israel. Both of these statements are accurate. It's just a matter of perspective. When we're talking about Zionism, what we're talking about is hyper-nationalism. The people who Dan Saltman is accusing of anti-Semitism are just typical anti-nationalist leftist Americans. These are the people who think the notion of border security is racist and fascist. Of course they're not going to be too thrilled when they find out what Zionism is and what's going on in the Middle East. It has nothing to do with them targeting Jewish people. It has everything to do with opposing nationalism and siding with whoever they perceive to be the victim. This doesn't change the fact that advertisers would still be concerned with the way Hassan and his chat talk about Zionists and other nationalists. I just don't think it comes from a place of anti-Semitism. The pro-Palestine crowd is upset with Israel's actions, not who they are or where they come from. Of course, that doesn't mean anti-Semitism doesn't exist, and the lines are becoming more blurred, as is the case with online politics in general. Whether or not you think Israel has the historical right to do whatever it is they're doing, that's a conversation for anyone else to have. All I'm saying is that you don't need to bring up anti-Semitism in order to explain why the left has started to be more critical of Israel. Hassan uses a similar tactic to the Zionism-Judaism conflation, but instead with Muslim and Rizzler saying that you're Islamophobic if you take issue with T-rism.
No, what you meant to say is Hezbollah is Muslim. That's what you meant to say. What you meant to say is they're Muslim.
no.
So of course, as they're Muslim, it's different.
At this point, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a second, this guy doesn't care about Israel-Palestine, yet he's going to talk about the dynamics of it? Doesn't this entire situation revolve around that very conflict? This is irresponsible. And I agree, there probably is some insight that I'm missing because I'm not clued into the whole Israel-Palestine dealio. I will forever pale in comparison to the geopolitical mastermind that is Dan Saltman.
I do not want to get into a debate on Israel-Palestine because I'm a fucking moron.
But
no, I really don't, because I'm a fucking moron and I know nothing about it.
They
Why
were
are we
militant
talking about
proponents
this?
of a pure ethno-state.
I fucking can't stand the Israel-Palestine shit. Why? Who gives a shit?
But because it's Israel-Palestine shit that you're using to color people's political stances that you don't understand as anti-Semitic.
I think most of them just want to be liked by their peers, and they think it's cool to
They're
be
being
like
beaten up by police, Dan.
What?
They're being beaten up by police for protesting the war, Dan. You should probably learn a bit about the place you're making the basis of your internet crusade.
Oh my God. Sunday, I'm not having a debate on Israel-Palestine with you because I admit I don't fucking know anything about it.
But
I'm not
this
having a
is
debate.
about Israel-Palestine.
No,
You're
it's not.
calling
I'm not
public
gonna do it.
figures.
Do you want to talk
you're calling
anything about
public figures
Twitch
anti-Semitic on the
banning,
basis of their stance on
do you wanna talk
Israel-Palestine.
anything about-
Huh. Well, I guess I'm just as qualified to talk about Israel-Palestine as the guy who formed his entire deplatforming campaign around it. This is a reoccurring theme with Dan. He leverages the Israel-Palestine conflict while pleading ignorance and disinterest. One minute, he's a high-minded media professional with substantial insider connections.
I'm a serial tech entrepreneur. I've made multiple tech companies. My understanding is that Amazon, from talking with people there, from talking with people in the industry, is that Dan Clancy probably does not have very long to go. Is that they're going to be doing complete turnover of the executive suite there. And that basically Clancy was already under fire for not meeting revenue deadlines there. And that there's going to be full, complete turnaround there. The problem is that people want news. People want to know, right? I know a lot of shit. You don't know fucking anything. Sorry. It is the way it is. I know a lot. I've talked with a lot of people. I'm deeply involved with all these things going on, but you don't fucking know anything.
But then when he's called out for his name and shame tactics, I am a moron. If you take the shit I say super seriously, that's on you. This is all my opinion and should not be taken as fact. Wait for a real journalist to release information. I frequently misspeak and say incorrect shit, likely 100 times in this video. Just realize I'm a moron, please. Thanks. On Tectone's stream, he celebrates the death of cancel culture.
Republicans swept everything right now. They're in full control across the fucking board. So I'm not personally pleased about that because I like to have a balance so that people have to work with each other and get shit done. But that said, the days of the lefty cancel culture shit that's cooked.
It was miserable.
They're done.
But he admits that he's using cancellation tactics.
I'm pushing the issue definitely with a narrative. Absolutely. They also
it's cancel culture. It's cancel culture shit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Even his main complaint against Twitch, that Twitch staff is anti-Semitic, is inconsistent.
That you just hate Jews so much that you can't even ask why you can't create an account without the moderator of the Reddit banning you and deleting your thread.
I think I agree that it's not a culture of anti-Semitism so much as it's a culture of wokeness. I know that sounds very stupid to say, but in the end result is still this, the end results are the same, right?
Dan Clancy, step the fuck down, you piece of anti-Semitic shit. So why do I originally jump to anti-Semitism? The answer is I don't jump to anti-Semitism right away. I only go to
You walked it back. You went immediately to Dan Clancy as anti-Semitic. You've done this multiple times. You did this against the staff here. You said Twitch hates Israel. By the way, not the same thing as.
I think I'm going to have to go ahead and ask for that counter.
Ask for the counter.
I'm gonna need the
time counter.
Are going to feel harassed as a result of that because you're doing bad things, and I'm calling you out for that. And yeah, there's going to be people that are upset at you, and you're going to get harassment. Because you're a bad person, because you're anti-Semitic.
This isn't accidental, it's a way to avoid accountability, in a similar way that Mizkif did in the example earlier.
Someone says, Dan, what's going to happen when you inevitably misspeak and this whole campaign will be invalid?
See, I thought about that, and it's kind of doing the Steve strategy. I just misspeak so often that people get used to it, and it becomes like a thing, if that makes sense, right? Like Steve, for Steve, it's constant racism. Like every few months, he says the N-word on stream just to protect himself, so he can never be canceled. So I'm doing the same thing with misspeaking.
Right.
When it comes to like the cuck and the Wikipedia stuff and everything, I think that if I put out enough satirical, deadpan comments about that people take it seriously and they retweet it and they spread it, I think at some point, I think the goal is to create like an air of, I don't know if I can believe anything I've heard about this guy. That's like the goal right now, by the way. I'm stealing the strategy from Fuentes and the Groypers. So some people posted this meme, but it doesn't really make sense. Hey guys, look how retarded I am. Off retarded. Jokes and I was only pretending. This joke usually applies to somebody like saying or doing something either really offensive or really fucking stupid. And then people saying like, hey, we're being dumb. But I think it's more like, I feel like at this point I can say basically anything about my life and people will believe it regardless of how ridiculous it is. So I think it calls into credibility the people that are reporting stuff. That's the goal.
It's so blatant that it almost comes off as a joke, but he's describing the exact way he's been acting, so I'm going to take it at face value. It becomes harder to take a morally righteous deplatforming campaign seriously when it involves poisoning the well. There's one more argument from Dan's first YouTube video on the Adpocalypse, that posts in the Twitch subreddit about the Israel ban were getting deleted.
They go to Reddit and they say, hey, why is Israel banned? The whole thread and every comment gets deleted by the moderators. Why is that? Why would you do that? Isn't this something that should be known? Are these moderators of this subreddit like so biased that it's such a disgusting off-topic thing? How could you ask about Israel being banned?
This is a similar argument to the one about the support tickets being ignored, which was actually a good point. The difference here is that the Twitch subreddit isn't ran by Twitch, so of course the mods of that subreddit who have nothing to do with Twitch officially are going to delete posts that should be sent through more official means. It's even a part of that subreddit's rules that posts relating to support will get deleted. It's like if someone bought a brand new PS5 that winds up being defective, and instead of taking it back to the store or contacting Sony, they complain on a PlayStation fan group on Facebook. This doesn't excuse the fact that Twitch was either oblivious or willfully ignorant about the state of their own regional ban. What makes this point so bad is that Dan knows that the Twitch subreddit has nothing to do with Twitch, and he admits that.
The Reddit is not affiliated with Twitch.
Yeah, it just looks bad for them. Yeah, it feels like more so sad. I think I said it in a later video. Like, imagine how sad it is. You come into the Reddit for help. You ask a few people. Some dude with the developer tag is talking to you, and then all of a sudden, all the things
does the
close.
developer tag mean that they work for Twitch?
No, it doesn't. That's how fucking stupid
then
it is.
okay, so it becomes even more stupid. The second, so if you look at their rules, the common topics that are not allowed in our Twitch: login issues, lost accounts, linked phone numbers, you will be directed to Twitch support. So you said that that Twitch was ignoring these posts in a Reddit that's not affiliated with them, even though they're not affiliated and they're being deleted because it's a violation of their rules.
Not long before that, Destiny would present the same deceptive argument to his audience.
So the Twitch subreddit is officially ran by Twitch. Why are they locking and deleting threads about it? Why wouldn't you make an announcement immediately when you realize this, right? If this is a fuck up, why wouldn't you immediately say things like, "Oh, hey guys, we just noticed like a pretty big like fuck up on our site. We're working to fix this immediately," right? This is a pretty big post for the Twitch subreddit, 160 comments. And they deleted every single comment. They didn't say a single thing about it. They wiped all the comments. Like, unofficial? I don't believe you. I'm almost positive. I see that it says unofficial. I'm almost positive that the people that run this subreddit have a direct link to the Twitch stuff. I thought that was the case like 8 years ago.
This doesn't smell right. I suppose it's time to drag Destiny into this, because Destiny is involved with Dan's campaign. For whatever reason, Dan uses Destiny as the reason why he made his campaign so toxic. Dan brings him up when someone in Kidnotkin's chat says that Dan could sway a lot of people if he was more honest.
The goal is not necessarily convincing a specific person. The goal is regime change at Twitch by overwhelming pressure.
I think you could get a lot of people on your side just by being more upfront with your...
No, I don't think so. I disagree. A lot of people try to do the nice guy, we're going to be best friends. That only works for the most honorable, clean, nice guy person. You think I'm gonna be able to do that? Being co-host with fucking Destiny? Are you out of your fucking mind? I have one option available to me. Playing dirty, playing aggressive, and fast, because they're wrong. they discriminated against Jews. And that's it. It doesn't matter if I'm literally fucking Mary Poppins. They're gonna be like, aren't you best friends with that guy Destiny who said this? And it doesn't matter. I've lost the optics battle. So I've already lost before I fucking start.
So he thinks he's stuck having to take this low-road approach because of his association with Destiny. This is just Destiny's influence on the campaign though, not his direct involvement, and he is involved.
What initially inspired the campaign and what is contribution to it? Do you feel it had a measurable impact? I said, people across multiple platforms are irritated that there is a massive double standard for the enforcement of hate speech regarding or depending on who it comes from and who it's directed towards. Hassan and other streamers of a similar political persuasion get away with making comments about certain groups of people that would get you immediately banned from the platform if other groups of people were implicated. Personally, my contribution to the project has been small to non-existent. I have been involved in other work and had little desire to have a direct contribution to anything involving this project because others seem to have been doing well enough on their own. I also bring a lot of baggage with me, and it's easy to accuse a project or a campaign of being personal or ideologically driven if I'm involved in some way.
That was Destiny downplaying his involvement with the campaign while reading his emails to a journalist about the campaign live on the podcast he co-hosts with the campaign leader. Destiny constantly directs his viewers' attention towards Twitch and Hassan, whether he's doing a show with Dan or on his own time. The Contact Advertiser campaign was organized on Destiny's subreddit and Discord. Destiny tone polices and guides Dan when they're talking about Twitch and contacting advertisers on their podcast.
So this is a Hassan dick sucker, okay? To be clear, this person right here. Do you know the...
I would chill.
Do you know the article that came out about
You're
Clancy?
like 12 words from destroying your entire online campaign. Just bring the temperature down a little bit.
The article...
He also directs his audience to brigade, harass, and abuse Hassan, his words. Destiny is involved, and he's the reason that Dan gives as to why he needs to run the campaign in such a stupid way. The only thing I can think of that Destiny could do to be more publicly involved is to be the one to ask his audience to contact advertisers. But Dan is already doing that live with Destiny, and Destiny is already telling his audience to brigade Hassan's community in other ways, so it wouldn't even matter.
Oh my god, look at all these brands that are here. Oh, which one will it be?
When Hulu Plus Live TV calls upon
Disney
famous athletes like DK Metcalf, Hulu Plus Live TV.
Disney and Hulu. Interesting.
Democrat says she's undecided because of concerns
hold up.
about anti-Semitism. Beth?
Yes!
Hi, thank you for being here. Thank you for remembering we need to bring
man,
the
that's not
hostages
good.
home.
You're telling me that ad played right before this clip? And that actually happened? And some psychotic fucking Dan fans went out and did this 300 times for every brand that you could think about? Who else do we got on here? Oh my god, spin the wheel. Netflix have over 100 variations of each email, letting them know what's going on. So you can do email, you can tweet at them, the whole thing.
But why would it matter that Destiny's involved? A few reasons. First, because he has a long personal history with both Twitch and Hassan. According to the Destiny wiki, in July of 2019, Destiny and Hassan would have some major disagreements about Kamala Harris, with both of them essentially accusing the other person of bad faith. The day after, Hassan goes to Reddit to have a bit of a meltdown due to the amount of criticism he was facing from Destiny's audience. Destiny streamed that day accusing Hassan of homophobia.
Yes, today I'm talking about the candidate who captivates my college-educated white liberal friends, Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg? Booty check? Booty judge? Okay, it's really hard to say this dude's last name.
I don't know if I would call it necessarily homophobic with those comments. Maybe it is, I'm not sure. The only reason to make the joke is to invoke the fact that he's gay. Wait, is Pete gay? Oh, whoa, holy shit. Wait, those comments are super homophobic. Wait, what the fuck? No way. Oh shit.
Wait, I can misconstrue Hassan's rhetoric to seem more harmful than it really is in order to smear him? Yes, purity testing. It's time for some purity testing. If you're comfortable with including gay people in your sense of humor, that means you're a homophobic monster. Oh my god, true. Streamers like this want you to be as racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic as possible so they can hold it over your head. A few weeks after, Destiny says he's going to be reporting anyone who calls him a certain name.
Call me petty, but I'm going to be reporting any lefty person that refers to me as Esteban or has their chat refer to me as that, because I actually consider it to be a fucking racial slur against me. Lefty people that commonly refer to me as a gusano, which means worm, which means a person that came from Cuba that was part of the Cuban aristocracy who was upset that Castro took land from their rich family.
In March of 2022, almost 3 years after this happened, Destiny would be permanently banned from Twitch for saying this regarding trans debates. In terms of how controversial this statement is, it's no worse than what Asmongold got banned for a month for for, and it's definitely not worse than all of the things that Hassan hasn't gotten banned for. A permanent ban is a bit much for that, even for a platform like Twitch. I can see why Destiny would hold a grudge against Twitch. The favoritism there is more apparent than at just about any other social media platform. This whole falling out started over half a decade ago, but Destiny has been wanting to get Hassan banned or sued the entire time. This clip is from about a year ago, over Hassan reacting to his videos.
Like, it's just it's the most annoying fucking thing in the world to hear about him. Like, the full nuclear option was yesterday. I almost said, I don't want Hassan ever watching a clip of mine again, and I'll never watch anything of his again. And if he watches shit of mine, I'll DMCA the out of it. He can counterclaim me, and I'll take my Jewish fucking lawyer that I got from Canada, and we'll go to fucking court over it if he wants to watch any of my shit on stream. That's where I almost went to yesterday, but decided not to, because when we get into the weird, everybody's DMCing people, it gets really weird. But it was pretty funny when he got DMCA by the other guys, so I almost thought about it, but I didn't. Okay, but no, it's fucking annoying.
Now, Destiny, Dan Saltman, and DGG, Destiny's community, have organized a campaign against Twitch and are preparing to take legal action as well. With this in mind, the campaign against Twitch seems far more petty, personal, and vengeful. It makes it seem like it has nothing to do with protecting Jewish people. Another reason why Destiny's involvement matters is because his takes are often just as violent and radical as Hassan's. They both use radical politics to cultivate the dirtbag left kind of image.
But no, it's not like I've heard all these arguments a million times, and I've heard the arguments that the other guys make,
which is
that there's no unethical consumption under capitalism, yada yada.
Which is a cringe misunderstanding of what that means. But go ahead.
Yeah, but like I just axiomatically, to cut through the noise of actually having to hold these thoughts in my head, I just take the side of the most extreme guy, and this guy's more extreme. So I'm just.
You think he's more extreme than us? He talks about mowing down protesters.
I talked about mowing down dipshit protesters that think it's okay to set buildings on fire at night. I should have set rioters that think it's okay.
You chose poorly, my friend.
I'm way more radical.
You're more radical than Hassan.
I'm way more radical.
You're more radical than Hassan.
I'm so much
actually,
more
in this day and age, where there's not a lot of people that take the positions that he do in reality.
True.
So wait, who's more status quo? Is it you or Hassan?
Well, the status quo is radical right now.
Yeah, it's cool to be fringe.
Yeah, it is very cool to be fringe.
And it's not cool to be like realistic.
How many times was Hassan banned from Twitter? Oh, never.
Never.
How many times have I been banned from Twitter? I have 8 accounts that have been banned. Okay. And I'm currently banned from Twitch. How many times has Hassan been banned from Twitch? Never. So
Never?
Who's more radical now?
Okay.
That's right.
This is another instance where I wouldn't blame you for thinking there's some level of irony or sarcasm here. Nope, not the case. This is a completely sincere exchange between someone who understands the appeal of extremism and someone who likes radical ideas simply because they're radical. Destiny has been upset about Hassan's favorable treatment on social media for years, and he did want protesters to get mowed down.
The rioting needs to fucking stop. And if that means like white redneck fucking militia dudes out there mowing down dipshit protesters that think that they could torch buildings at 10 p.m., then at this point they have my fucking blessing, because holy shit, this fucking shit needs to stop. It needed to stop a long time ago. Like, holy fuck.
There's also the more recent instance regarding the man who was killed at a Trump rally.
Fuck it. Fuck the dude. The firefighter guy. Fuck Trump. Fuck the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay? Just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am. 100%.
I mean, I got to say, I just found that repulsive, Destiny. Yeah,
I wish that there is no room. There is no room for the hand wringing, and I will not participate in this anymore.
Oh, it's not hand wringing.
The hand wringing. No, it absolutely is.
Then on JReg's side of things, he has talked about how he wants people to identify with anything other than centrism.
And I think that's kind of what my whole anti-centrism bit is all about.
Yes.
Is looking for the connections between disparate groups to try to create some sort of actionable political strategy. And even if it's like a post-ironic or apparently satirical perspective, it's still like that's what it is, trying to find what the common ground between people is in a way that's not centrist. In a way that's not just affirming the status quo.
So when JReg says he takes the side of the most extreme guy, that's not a joke. That's genuinely how he and many others look at politics. Hassan knows this.
America deserves dude. Fuck it. I'm saying it.
Base?
Destiny knows this.
Whatever post-country we're in, maybe shooting at people is on the table. I don't know.
No, it's
not. Who knows?
Based?
They've both been in an arms race to see who can come up with the most fashionable and edgy left-wing politics, only for Destiny to point the finger at Hassan for participating in said arms race. This goes well beyond hypocrisy. In Dan Saltman's video, Twitch is insane with who they hire, he goes over some social media posts from a Twitch staffer. They all show some level of left-leaning bias, but none of them are all that bad. I agree that it would be better to have people at Twitch who are less biased, but who gets to determine who isn't biased? Destiny and Dan Saltman? That would be even worse.
My co-host has frequently said super inflammatory things, completely way worse than this guy, against Trump and against liberals, okay? And you're like, Dan, how can you criticize this? Yeah, that's fucking simple. It's because he's not the one in charge of moderating the platform.
Sure, not now, but Destiny does want to start his own media company.
Destiny, if I want to stay informed, but I don't have the time to read, well, that's where a good media company would come in.
And if that means like white redneck fucking militia dudes out there mowing down dipshit protesters,
my end state dream would be, it would be nice to run a publication where I am proud of the articles that are being written because I feel like they accurately represent most sides of things, but like an article can be read in 5 minutes.
I hate this guy, okay? Not just because he's a pedophile, okay?
That like does a good job at trying to get a fair message across.
Oh, if somebody talks to me and they're 16, I say message me in 2 years. Or if somebody addresses what they know.
I don't know of any publications right now that exist like that.
Children.
Well, you know, they're hotter.
Based. Let's fucking go. That's why we love him. That's why we love this guy.
It feels like everybody is loaded against something. And you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck. I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am. 100%. Yeah, I don't know.
Plus, Destiny has far more power and influence than the person that Dan is talking about, so Dan's point here just makes him look like a sycophant looking for a way to excuse Destiny's shit-stirring. Finally, there's Destiny's history of trying to smear, cancel, and silence people. On top of wanting to get Hassan banned for over half a decade, just this month he doxed President Sunday for covering his other scandals and controversies.
I didn't take exception to the fact that he doxed you a couple weeks ago.
You didn't take exception to that, or?
I mean, I'm acknowledging that that's definitely another thing he's done, and people are kind of worried about that with them. Not necessarily me.
Between you and me, I am not particularly afraid of that.
No, but I'm saying other people probably are.
Oh, probably.
This is how he treated his wife when they were getting divorced.
Why do you think that she isn't going to leak or talk shit? Melina will not leak or talk shit about any of this because she knows that everything about this makes her look like a f***ing satanic demon. She knows that. She's threatened it a million times, like, I'm gonna start leaking everything. Oh, yeah, let's go. Okay, if you really want to, holy f, because my reputation is already zero in regards to our relationship. Everybody thinks I'm a horrible piece of shit. We wanna start leaking shit, we can do it.
These are the same kind of fear and smear tactics that Dan Saltman is using. Destiny thinks of himself as some kind of arbiter of who should and shouldn't have a voice on the internet.
Conservatives have been disgusting for years, which is why I don't give a fuck about anybody that winds up at any of these rallies and gets shot or whatever the fuck, okay? Because they had no problem making fun of Paul Pelosi. The entire world would be better off if these people were permanently removed from these platforms. Like, there is no downside and only upside to see people like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Tim Pool never be allowed to publicly broadcast their opinions ever again. It's exclusively bad stuff that happens.
I could go on, but I've made my point. Destiny is involved with Dan's campaign against Twitch. They both have more to gain from it than they lead on. They're both leveraging the Israel-Palestine conflict in order to shape the media landscape the way they want, and they're not afraid to use fear and threats to accomplish their goals. There's a counter-argument from Dan Saltman that I was holding on to. He addresses the claim that what's happening on Twitch isn't a big deal because other sites allow crazier stuff to be said.
I'm seeing one piece of criticism a lot, and I think that it's pretty easy to address. A lot of people are like, Dan, how the fuck are you going to call out Twitch for anti-Semitism when sites like Rumble or Kick or whatever exist? And the answer to that is actually pretty simple, is that I genuinely believe that Twitch is worse. And the problem is that Twitch likes to say, hey, we're such a good moderated platform. Everything here is safe. Everything is good. Come here, feel happy and friendly. And this is a safe space. But it's not, right? And that's the problem. And that's why it's insidious. And it's because kids go on there and they're like, oh yeah, Twitch is like that PG-13 site. You can't say anything or they might get banned. But then they're exposed to the fact that it's like really cool and funny. And the number one entertainer on this site is basically calling Jews inbred.
Part of me agrees with Dan here, part of me disagrees. Here are two lines, one representing how lenient a site is with censorship, and the other being how much advertisers are willing to pay to run ads on that site. As you probably know, as a site gets more controversial, less advertisers advertisers want to be associated with them, and the ones who are willing to run ads on those sites get them on the cheap. Obviously, more advertisers means more money, but being more lenient with moderation can attract new audiences, so there are different approaches. The argument that Dan is making is that Twitch is reaping the benefits of having a family-friendly image while hosting content that isn't so family-friendly. This is the kind of content that parents expect Twitch to have.
What the fudge, dude?
And this is some of the content that they host.
I hope you get PTSD.
Twitch is in a unique position, and that's a problem. Well, it's a symptom of a greater problem. Politically radical content is volatile yet engaging. It's trendy and infectious. Whether it's YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, that one's up in the air right now, or whatever other platform, extreme positions and radical communities will crop up. And the only way to prevent that on the online side of things is with a dangerous amount of legislation and/or censorship.
Honestly, I think that I understand that we have to keep our jobs, and we have to make sure that our jobs are important by telling people how important they are.
Political figures like Hassan and Destiny will do and say whatever they need to in order to seem more important than they actually are, often through violent and extreme embellishment that plays itself off as sincere, edgy, and based. Radical bullshit on the internet isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Even if Hassan did get permanently banned from Twitch, he would just start streaming on YouTube or another platform, and his street cred with his audience would increase. The smaller, non-political streamers are really getting the rough end of the shaft on this one. It's hard to say how much different streamers have been affected by this adpocalypse so far, but still, they don't benefit from political shitposting or radicalization, yet they still have to deal with the fallout of the adpocalypse as well. It gives an unfair advantage to the people causing the problem. At the bottom of the initial Reddit post about the campaign against Twitch, there's a TLDR. I think Twitch needs an adpocalypse to change moderation and stop it from radicalizing many of the upset youth on the platform, and any attempts to cancel Hassan and Twitch are morally good. If the youth being radicalized is really what we're trying to prevent here, then banning Hassan and messing with Twitch's cash flow isn't really going to do anything. And siding with Destiny here is the most hypocritical stance someone could take. The only reasonable approach is to encourage parents to be more understanding and involved with their children's online activity. If we're actually worried about Hassan turning children towards T-rism, then you tell parents, hey, there are people on the internet who want to change your child's political identity, their values, and perspective of the world, stripping them of whatever culture you're trying to instill in them. You might want to talk to the other parents in your school district about when you should give your kids a phone. Should it be a flip phone or a smartphone? How much free access should they get to the internet, etc. If this was really about online extremism, that's more like the kind of message we'd be hearing. Instead, we have a very personal deplatforming campaign. I am convinced that this whole campaign has nothing to do with morals and everything to do with gaining control. A part of the campaign that they don't bring as much attention to is the legal side of it. There's not nearly as much info on it, and I am not a legal expert by any means, so everything in this section should be taken with a hefty grain of salt. With that said, if I'm understanding this situation and Dan Saltman correctly, then we should be concerned.
Yeah, so I got banned by Twitch for extreme harassment, permanent. I put in a request to cancel my partnership agreement, which is a right that is afforded to me in the contract that I have with Twitch. They have 30 days from when I put it in, so I have like another 2 weeks or something. So they have another 2 weeks to respond to that, and then after that, I put in a request for them to delete all information about my account that they have stored on their servers. Some of that stuff I have registered with the Library of Congress. If they don't, I will go and I will initiate a copyright lawsuit that has statutory damages applied to it. That's basically a thing. If you register specific works directly with the Library of Congress, you can get statutory damages. It's not like a typical DMCA thing where you have to prove damages and things along those lines. So I've gone and I've registered a few things that I know that are stored on Twitch's servers, and I'll move forward with that if they don't delete all of my data.
So anyways, I already have a firm that's going to take the case, essentially, and they're going to start initially with all of the Israeli streamers, which is kind of like a, if you think about a workplace discrimination, whatever.
Start with the Israeli streamers for what?
So basically, all of the Israeli streamers for a year were discriminated against in violation of California law, right?
Wait, how?
Basically, they were unfairly targeted by not being able to have equal access to revenue opportunities compared to people that were not in Israel.
But the streamers.
The streamers. On Twitch, I know a lot of people that think they're going to be streamers, spend money, spend time, hours, and make no money, which means that there's a loss as a result of this. And genuinely, California does not like that. It's really super cool. The legal stuff is the most interesting part of the whole thing, because you have to keep in mind, for the last 30 years, all of the internet has existed by the grace of Section 230 that has allowed everything to exist as it does, because it protects companies from everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without it, like, the internet doesn't work. Now you literally have a law in place that's on the books that's like a complete runaround of Section 230. Like, it's like someone found this one weird trick that lets you sue tech companies and get around it. So to start, I'm trying to keep basically the class small, because it would be too unwieldy to go otherwise. I imagine that after we do this, there'll be other attorneys that try to do much larger class-wide suits.
It's interesting, the idea that one man can like take down a company.
As far as I can tell, there are 3 different legal angles that Dan has brought up. One angle is that Dan wants to file his content with the Library of Congress in order to sue Twitch if they don't delete his data. I don't know, to me this just seems more like a frivolous threat. Another is the anti-BDS angle, which has something to do with anti-Semitism and workplace discrimination. I'm not going to pretend like I know what I'm talking about there. Finally, there's the Section 230 angle. Once again, I'm definitely not an expert on Section 230, but I am familiar with the concept and how it works this time. That's what makes it so a site like YouTube isn't legally responsible for what a random user might upload to the site. To quote Wikipedia, no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. If I'm not mistaken, we're talking about a lawsuit against Twitch that could set new legal precedent that social media sites can be sued for what creators share to the platform. This could be devastating in a lot of ways. It would change the social media landscape in ways I can't imagine. This is not a level of power that I'm comfortable with one online community having. When Ethan Klein was first streaming about this and the post was made in Destiny's subreddit, the Adpocalypse was being talked about by tons of people on the internet. It's been going on for months now, and Dan Saltman won't stop until Dan Clancy has stepped down from his position as CEO at Twitch. Yet there haven't been many people talking about this more recently, at least not that I've seen. Part of the reason is because the entire thing is a polarized powder keg, which is probably obvious to many of the people who would normally cover this kind of story. But that usually doesn't stop people from talking about things that are at this scale and when the stakes are this high. One group that would usually talk about this kind of thing are conservative content creators. Destiny is a prominent figure on the left, cancel culture is bad, that's basically a quartering video right there. But since the campaign is targeting Twitch and Hassan, who are further left than Destiny, it's something they're happy to let happen. Plus, it's not like anyone is running low on ammunition against Destiny right now. They're going to go with the stuff that won't possibly take pressure off of Hassan. Another group that would normally talk about this is the commentary community. Contacting advertisers in order to get someone banned is a big no-no for them, something which they usually rally against. Maybe they see this campaign as morally justified and that's why they're not talking about it.
Well, weren't you more of an insider, but you decided to take a bit of a break from the community, from what I understand, what you were saying on your stream?
Yeah, I did.
Interesting.
It is a very crazy place.
Oh my crazy. God. What makes it crazy? What's the issue? Would you say mainly?
Well, the Adpocalypse, I think that's one thing that, you know, as it gets more and more heated, I really don't like. I guess what you're getting at is the idea that I actually didn't want to hang out with DGG because of this stuff. I guess is the implication you're making, but.
Okay, so Turkey Tom understands that it's bad, yet never elaborates on how or why it's bad beyond saying that it's something he doesn't like. Now this is the kind of killer commentary that the commentary community can be proud of. At least some of them have realized that criticizing Destiny is, in fact, within the realm of possibility. But for whatever reason, most of them are quite reluctant to throw any due criticism his way, although it looks like that dynamic could be changing. Lastly, there are the streamers at Twitch. Surely if this was putting pressure on the platform they stream for and they're losing out on revenue, they'd be up in arms, right? That hasn't been the case. I can find people talking about lower ad revenue in the middle of November. I can't find people talking about it anytime after the initial rallying cries of the campaign. This doesn't prove anything one way or the other, but it is strange. Maybe Twitch streamers are talking about it, but only for a split second, making clips of it more difficult to find. Maybe they're doing their best not to talk about it publicly at all. Maybe the Adpocalypse hasn't been nearly as effective as Dan Saltman makes it out to be. This is a hard thing to gauge. On one hand, the goal of the campaign has been to get Dan Clancy to step down as CEO, which hasn't happened yet. Maybe it will happen at some point in the future, maybe not. On the other hand, they've gotten some considerable advertisers to pull out of the platform, and the legal stuff could definitely accelerate things. Yet, I feel like we would have continued to hear people talk about the Adpocalypse if ad rates were still being affected considerably. Twitch wants to downplay the controversy as much as possible. Dan Saltman wants to make this look as bad as possible for Twitch. It's beneficial for both sides to play with their cards close to their chest, and this matter has yet to be resolved. So how effective is Dan Saltman's campaign? I don't know, but he's made it this far. How the lawsuit against Twitch shakes out is probably going to matter a lot, and who knows how long that's going to take. Though considering the kind of ammunition they have against Twitch and Hassan, there was no reason for Dan Saltman to go out of his way to make his campaign as toxic as he did. Showing the advertisers the things that Hassan was getting away with on Twitch would have been enough to get them concerned without having to threaten or sue anyone. Saltman leaning into his association with Destiny and relying on him to bring more attention to the campaign was really stupid. Sure, people would have speculated Destiny's involvement no matter what as long as his co-host was the one running the campaign. But his open involvement just proves that he's involved. I would say it's a bad miracle that they've made it this far. For a video about Twitch and a campaign targeting its CEO, there hasn't been much reason to talk about Dan Clancy. As far as I can tell, he's not all that unique or interesting. Besides his gooner reputation, CEO status, and general incompetence, there's not much to say about him. He's not good at his job, and it probably would be best if someone replaced him. But getting Dan Clancy to step down from Twitch isn't going to change how people feel about Israel-Palestine. It's not going to change the worldview of Hassan's fans. If anything, it could further inflame tensions. Dan Clancy is not the problem. The problem is that people are desperately trying to find hope and solutions from online provocateurs. Social media doesn't need to be fixed. We can just stop relying on it so much. To fix social media, whatever that means, would be a near impossible task, if not outright impossible. And let's be real, Destiny and DGG aren't going to figure that one out anytime soon. It makes so much more sense to distance ourselves from social media instead of wishing it was something it isn't. Social media is not a medium we can use to solve all of our problems. It never was and never will be. It's a digitized and corrupted hierarchy of grifters, entertainers, and con men. It's not a true social network. It's a way to avoid socializing and reality. Don't worry about saving the internet. Focus on yourself, your family, friends, and loved ones, your neighbors, local communities, and so on. Maybe there will be a point in the future where the internet is known for more productive debate and discourse, but that time will only come after we loudly distinguish the process of learning social skills through face-to-face interaction from the mutated mockery of communication that the internet has become. It has nothing to do with whether or not Hassan gets banned or Twitch gets sued. Thank you for watching, and shout out to the best subscriber squad in all of YouTube. I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
All the red pill people that I fight against, that I say like you shouldn't do this, is how you build a healthy relationship, all of those things are things that I do unironically in the worst way.
This video has been in the works for months now, and considering all of the news that's breaking about Destiny, everything feels a bit surreal. I did my best to focus specifically on the Adpocalypse, so I didn't look into the leaks. Just so we're clear, I'm talking about Destiny potentially getting sued by various women over the non-consensual recording and sharing of sex tapes which were apparently leaked by a hacker. There was already a lot of noise to cut through when researching for this project, so I wasn't too eager to jump down yet another rabbit hole. Little did I know how serious that whole scandal would turn out to be. Now it would feel strange to make this video and not mention the recent allegations, which are pretty rock solid. I don't really know what to say. The only good thing about any of this is that now people are seeing with undeniable clarity the way Destiny treats people. Clarity is a valuable thing though. Surreal indeed.
Something unique that I provide that I think is really important to some of these alternative communities is I'm like the only person that is progressive that like isn't fucking unhinged. And I think it's really good sometimes to show people that, like, hey, you can be pro LGBT, you can have like blue hair, be in like weird relationships or whatever, but I can be like a funny, cool, charismatic, like we can have fun and chill, and I can be like understanding of you and not be like super judgmental or try to cancel you and be horrible.